G'day gamers, and Behaviour did a new stream the other day going over what would be in the next PTB. This stream was formatted very differently to what we normally get. It was less scripted, there was a bunch of different team members that sat down and went through things actually live, while we had this guy reading the chat at numerous points, engaging their feedback on what the devs said.
Very interesting for me as a killer main.
You just won the stream. You're the winner.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I thought he wanted like the bulk
Then
of spending more.
okay, drop the mic, I'm leaving then. I already won.
They're calling you Poppy, by the way.
Poppy. Oh.
Honestly, it's the best stream that they've ever done, bar none. It felt much less cringy than normal. They actually just spoke to us like normal people would speak to other people. So for the format, great job, Behaviour. Whoever idea this was, genuinely give them a bonus. It was great. Another huge positive is there was no massive technical issues. Transitions all worked well. Audio was fantastic the whole way through, unlike a lot of the previous other streams. The big difference here is this was being run by the staff member who normally presents. She was seemingly doing all the transitions and making sure it all went smoothly, and honestly, she did a great job. A better job than whoever normally runs it.
Chandler, what perks do you got? Do you know?
Oh yeah, tell us.
It works. It just works.
Some may say, JC, are we really praising them for doing the bare minimum of having the stream work? Yes, we are. It shows that they're actually improving, and I like to give credit where it's due. So Behaviour, I would recommend you have Doc teach someone else how to do all the transitions and stuff, so in the future when you do a stream and she's in front of the camera like she normally is, the stream can actually, you know, work.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
So the actual format of the stream was pretty good. Let's talk about the content of the stream. Now, they went over a lot of things this stream. We're mainly going to be focusing on the tunneling, slugging, and camping, but we will go into some other nice little points that they went through throughout it. Now, they said they're looking to address this because according to their data, it's a big reason players are uninstalling the game, which is a fair enough reason. That being said, I don't trust Behaviour's data, nor their ability to read and understand it. The reason people do these strategies is because they are the only consistent way to win, and there's no reason to not do it. It's not because killers are arseholes, it's not because they want survivors to suffer or any of this bollocks, they just want to win. If you want to lower these playstyles, reward the killer for not tunneling, so it's actually consistently viable. So, have Behaviour done this?
No!
Of course they didn't do this. It's actually worse than them not implementing it, because not only are they not rewarding the killer for not using these playstyles, they consider it hand-holding.
A lot of players felt that the solution in the previous PTB held their hand too much. So it was, you got a unique hook, so now you get like a gen kick bonus, or you got the aura reveal. A gen kick bonus, or you got the aura reveal.
Remember about 20 seconds ago when I said this? That being said, I don't trust Behaviour's data, nor their ability to read and understand it. Players felt like their hand was just being held too much with the base kit barbecue and Pop Goes the Weasel, guys. You're right, Behaviour. Killers across the globe were complaining in droves that the patch was just too easy for them, because they were rewarded for fresh hook. It was the killers who were having their hand held. It wasn't the survivors with 8 base kit perks, faster, unregressible generators resulting in gameplay so brain dead, you could be playing with your feet on a steering wheel while watching Netflix on the second monitor, and gooning on the third while playing a competitive match of Overwatch on the fourth, and still get a 4-man out. No, guys, it was actually the killers who had their hands held clearly.
Okay, I'm waiting for the punchline.
There's no punchline.
Nobody was talking about the base kit barbecue or pop. Those were the only 2 things that you implemented that actually discouraged tunneling in a healthy way, by rewarding you for not doing it, which is how it should be done. That isn't handholding, that's just you encouraging the killer to do the other playstyles that are less efficient by making them more efficient. Game design 101, by the way. If you want the player to do something, reward them for doing it, especially if it's the least efficient way to do it, but the most enjoyable. It's not difficult. We'll start with the tunneling changes because I think they're the best overall of the 3. These changes have been iterated on from the last PTB. So, for the killer side, they've completely removed all downsides for tunneling, so there's no more gen blocking if you kill too quickly, and there's no gen speed increase unlike the last PTB. So already we're off to an amazing start. We're not punishing the killer for simply playing the game. However, they have also removed all the benefits killers got for not tunneling to encourage you not to do it. So the base kit pop and the nerfed barbecue and chili are gone completely, and they've also removed the base kit haste you got for new hooks. Instead, what they've done is they've replaced the haste haste with Bloodlust 1 on fresh hooks, and Bloodlust ends when you kick a pallet or start a chase, so when you hook someone new, you get 5% haste. On the survivor side, they've kept their elusive status effect from the last PTB, elusive being no blood, no moans, no aura read or scratch marks. They also get to see the killer when they are unhooked through aura read. The main change thing is they've removed how long you see the killer on the aura, and also they removed the no collision on an unhooked survivor with the killer. Now looking at it from face value, these ideas are fine in theory, they're just very poorly executed at the moment. We'll start with the effects granted to a survivor after being unhooked. The effects themselves are fine, specifically elusive. That's a very fair form of anti-tunnel where it's harder to track them, but it can't be used aggressively. That's a great change. However, what they have also done is increase the endurance and haste duration when you're unhooked.
Indulge me. For 1 second, pretend that I'm an idiot.
Okay, I'm there.
Jesus fucking Christ, behavior. How many times do you have to learn this fucking lesson? The moment you give survivors immunity or a killer stun like decisive, it will be used aggressively. 30 seconds of endurance and 10% haste means everyone will take a hit for their teammates, and then when you take the hit, you now can't be tracked and move 10% faster, meaning that you won't be caught in a chase. The exact thing that everybody was doing in the last PTB.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
It's important to note, behavior are trying to prevent the anti-tunnel being used aggressively.
We have removed the no collision from unhooked protections, and we've decreased the killer aura reveal to 10 seconds. And you might ask, why? Well, we saw in the previous BTB that survivors were weaponizing both of these effects to go for aggressive plays, as opposed to trying to survive, which is the intended goal of the unhooked protections, is to put you in a spot where you can make better decisions to survive. What we saw was that killers who were actively trying to not tunnel were being punished by these things.
They're just not engaging their brain when doing changes. So, keep elusive at 30 seconds and put haste and endurance back down to 10 seconds. If you can't lose the killer with wall hacks, being untrackable and 10 seconds of immunity, on top of all the other existing anti-tunnel in the game, then they're just dog shit at the game. Instead of, in your words, hand-holding them, maybe, God forbid, they should actually try to improve at the game like you would in, oh, I don't know, any other game on the market.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Next, we have the killer benefits. When you get a unique hook, you're granted Bloodlust for 15 seconds and you get more blood points.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
I want you guys to imagine you have two survivors in front of you. One is a first stage Meg that you hooked last, and the other is a Michaela with 0 hooks. You need to make the benefit of hooking that Michaela worth it over getting that Meg second stage, because people tunnel because they want to win. So the benefits for not tunneling should help them win. Let's start with the Bloodlust buff. They chose Bloodlust because if you use a killer power like Blighted Rush, you lose the benefits, meaning the stronger killers, in theory, shouldn't get value out of it, which sounds great until you think about it for all of 5 seconds. Because what you've now actually done is discourage every strong killer from engaging with the mechanic. If they're not going to get value, what's the point in going for unique hooks? So again, we're straight back to there being no reason not to tunnel. Not only this, but 5% haste out of chase is not going to be the difference between a win or a loss in 99% of situations, meaning it fails at encouraging fresh hooks. It also doesn't just affect strong killers because you can't kick pallets or use any power without losing it, making it functionally useless. Again, back to the scenario. You can get Meg on Death Hook, or you can chase Michaela and get 5% haste for 15 seconds. Nobody who wants to win is choosing that Michaela. It's just not rewarding enough. But don't worry guys, you also get a blood point bonus. Psst. Behavior, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. People who are hard tunneling to win don't care about blood points.
You're boring.
For blood points to be an incentive for a lot of players, you'd need to get like 50,000 blood points per unique hook. The number you get, guys, is 750. It just ain't cutting it, Chief, is it? I love how there's an exclamation mark on it as well, like it's some massive number. For context, a single brown node is 2,000 blood points. 750! Jesus Christ, you're really spoiling us, behavior.
That is one big pile of shit.
Now, when it comes to the slug and camp changes, there's so many moving parts, I'll need to test them out in game before we see glaring issues like the anti-tunnel. But there are some things I need to point out, including calling out the developers. Let's start with the anti-camp. First, You can see the anti-camp bar on the UI now, which isn't bad, but it does mean good survivors are going to abuse it to try and allow their teammates to unhook for free by yo-yoing back and forth. I know they're going to do this because I do it with my teammates when I'm playing in a duo. Second, they now consider 20 meters to be camping. 20 meters! Now to visually demonstrate how big 20 meters is, in the background I brought my friend along on Slinger. Now we've given Slinger a 20 meter tow radius in this example, and I turned on the visual heartbeat. So if you can see this heartbeat, I'm within anti-camp range. Certain maps, especially with your dog shit pallet changes, require you to hold an area down to gain any pressure. For example, RPD forces you to create power hook positions to gain pressure because you can pre-run off generators too easily. It's the thing that makes RPD playable. A 20 meter radius is ludicrously big, especially when the killer gets no UI to tell them that distance. You want to talk about hand-holding behavior, no hook grabs, an existing anti-camp, now more anti-camp with the radius being almost the size of stealth killer terror radius, while you obscure that information for the killers. No shit the mechanic is triggering in lower MMR more than higher MMR. How the fucking new killer's supposed to know this mechanic even exists, and you made it worse by massively increasing the area.
I think we did a pretty good job so far.
Lastly, we have the slugging changes. Now, we're not going to be directly talking about the slugging changes. Instead, I'm going to be calling out the developers and their terrible behavior. No pun intended. Now, earlier in the video, I said this. The reason people do these strategies is because they are the only consistent way to win, and there's no reason to not do it. It's not because killers are arseholes. It's not because they want survivors to suffer or any of this bollocks. They just want to win.
And then you have the more evil Skull Merchant. Here she has slugged 4 Dwights, and they're all in the dying state. The more evil Skull Merchant.
That's hurtful.
Now, this is going to be a very rare moment of me being serious for once, because this is disgusting. This wasn't a live stream slip-up. The graphic you're showing is actively pushing into the narrative that every killer who is slugging is just an arsehole who wants nothing more than the survivors to suffer. This right here solidifies the developer's bias, and honestly, it really upset me when I watched it live. This game has a serious toxicity problem. One of the leading issues with it is the us versus them mentality from both sides. People thinking that the other side is just doing things to annoy their opponents, being unable to look at things objectively and instead taking everything personally, whether it's slugging or whether you're gen rushing, that kind of thing. You have just announced to the entire DBD community that 4-man slugging makes you an evil person, which is just categorically false. When a survivor team is all saboing the hook and the killer is forced to slug because they physically can't hook, that makes you an evil person. When you're playing a killer whose whole power encourages slugging because of your design behavior and balance, like Sadako, Oni or the twins, when they slug to effectively use their killer, they're just evil people, are they? When the killer can't pick up because the survivor is under one of your 7,000 pallets you've added to the map, and the survivors keep hovering for the saves every time you down a new one, that makes you evil, does it? This mentality is a leading cause in this game's toxicity, and you've just validated every single survivor out there who thinks like that, meaning having to slug for whatever reason in the future will cause that killer to be harassed even more by survivors because you've just validated them. This game has serious depth in its tactics, especially on the killer side with all the different killer powers and such. Broad stroke painting the entire killer player base as evil because God forbid they might need to slug multiple people is nothing short of disgusting. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't out there actively going out their way to slug everyone just to make the match unfun. They 100% exist, and I've had it happen to me more times than I care to remember, and that sucks. But acting like everyone who does this is evil is absolutely disgusting. Do better behavior.